ibadah that is being performed over there. Abdullah bin Zubayr radiyallahu anhu, the son of Asmaa radiyallahu anha, in the year 63, he was chosen to be the Khalifa of Hijaz. And after that, of course, Abdul Malik bin Marwan opposed him. This was after the time of Yazid. And then Abdul Malik bin Marwan opposed him. And there was a war. Abdul Malik sent Hajjaj bin Yusuf to attack him in Makkah Mukarramah. And most of the people left him because Hajjaj bin Yusuf came with a large army. Abdullah bin Zubayr went to his mother and he said, "Ma'am, all the people have left now. What do you think I should do?" She said, "Son, why are you asking for? What do you mean by asking this?" He said, "Ma'am, I have few people left with me. If I don't give up, I don't surrender, then these people will be killed too, and I would be killed too. In order for us to save ourselves, this might be the only choice." She said, "Son, if you were fighting for the deen of Allah, then why to give up? And if it was for your own, to get your position and get that seed and that for your own ego, then son, no one is worse than you on the surface of the earth." He said, "No, it was for the sake of Allah. But ma'am, my fear is they might cut my body into pieces and you will not be able to have patience to see my body." She said, "Son, what are you talking about? The goat never worries of what will happen to it after it will be killed. Skinning the goat does not hurt it. It won't hurt it anymore. So don't worry of what happens after you. Just worry of what you do at your life." Iman, tawakkul. And of course, we know Hajjaj bin Yusuf, finally he attacked Makkah Mukarramah. And Sayyidina Abdullah bin Zubayr radiyallahu anhu, at about the age of 72, he was martyred. He was one of the strongest of the Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'een. A very special quality that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him with. His power and strength was extraordinary. And many of the Sahaba believed it was because of that blood. During the time of Sayyidina Muawiyah radiyallahu anhu, King Hercules sent a very strong person and saying that, "See if you have anyone that can challenge the strength of this person." And of course, a person who's always in the wars, always in the battlefields, and might be doing a lot of exercise, and all of that's his life. That's all he knows in his life, building his body and muscles. And as we know, when people devote their lives for that, this is all they know. Muawiyah radiyallahu anhu called Abdullah bin Zubayr radiyallahu anhu and said, "This is what King Hercules sent this man for." Now calling who? A person who's known as Hamamatul Masjid, the bird of the masjid. This is the pigeon of the masjid. And this is something that we really need to know and keep in mind about Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'een. We think doing something else will prevent the person from ibadah, and ibadah will stop the person from everything else. A totally wrong concept. Islam is a moderate deen. Allows us and in fact teaches us to do all of these things at once, at the same time. Our ibadah would not stop us from getting into any other fields of the life. So he called Abdullah bin Zubayr radiyallahu anhu. Now, if that person would read the history or will try to study who Abdullah bin Zubayr is, and he would look at his title, he would think that I can just defeat him in a minute. Because he's Hamamatul Masjid. This is the person who spent most of his time in the salah, in the ibadah of Allah. He's fasting most of his life. So he won't know where he's going to get his strength from. He's fasting most of the time of his life, then his rest of the time is in the masjid. Abdullah bin Zubayr, when he approached that person, he said to him, "I'll give you one of the two choices. Either you sit down, and then I will pick you up. I will take you away from your position, and you try to stick to that place. Or I would sit, and you try to move me from there." He said, "That will make the decision and everyone will know it." So that person said, "Okay, I'll sit, and you try to move me." And as he sat, and just with one move, and that person was up in the air, he couldn't believe himself. So he asked who this person is. I said, "His name is Abdullah bin Zubayr." Anything more? He couldn't find anything more. So he said, "Let me then see what did he do." So he said, "Now let's switch it the other way. You said I'll do the same thing to you." And it says that person could not even move him an inch from his place. And we know, as Sahaba ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in said, that it was the blood. And we know, Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam, they have been given such a power, such a strength, that normal people can never have that type of strength. In fact, some of the hadiths talk about the strength of 100 of those of the people of Jannah. Not of normal people, of the people of Jannah. And this is why when there was a person called Rukana, he was considered to be one of the strongest people of Quraysh. Once he said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "If you wrestle me down, then I will believe in you." Come on. This is not a way of believing in a prophet that you consider him as a wrestler and he wrestles you down. And another person who's fast running, you say, "If you run faster than me, then I would do it." And this is not what the Prophet of Allah is for. And if you bring some gardens, if you make gardens in Mecca, then we will believe. If you bring some fountains in our town, then we'll believe. He's not an architect. He's not for these purposes. He's not a contractor. He's not a wrestler. He's teaching you the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Talk to him about proofs about his deen, of what he's saying, and he will prove to you. But this is what Rukana said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a challenge. And right away Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam got up, and within a move, Rukana was down on the ground. He couldn't believe himself, and he did it 3 times. After the 3rd time, Rukana said, I think it's part of your magic. And still did not believe. مَنْ يُضْلِلِ اللَّهُ فَلَا هَادِيَ لَهُ. If Allah misguides someone, that person can never get the hidayah. So, Anbiya alayhimus salatu wasalam, Allah blessed them with that strength. Musa alayhi salatu wasalam just punching the man. Quran, we read it in Quran, just punching the man, and the man was out of this world. And just for us, as a piece of information for us to know, this is why we find, even in the previous books, and with all the changes that are there in the Old Testament, New Testament, when they talk about Anbiya alayhimus salatu wasalam, they talk about Anbiya having many wives. It's one of the reasons that they can have it, they can handle it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them that ability, physically and spiritually in every way. So, Asmaa radiyallahu anha, after she saw her son, after Abdullah bin Zubayr was murdered, Hajjaj bin Yusuf went to Asmaa and he said, see how Allah punished his enemy just to hurt her feeling, telling her about her son, that see how Allah punished his enemy through me. She said, Hajjaj, she's over 100 years old. Hajjaj, remember one thing. You spoiled his world, his life, and he spoiled your akhirah. Still, I think my son is the winner. Hajjaj couldn't control his anger. He said, I'm going to pull you with your hairs and drag you over the streets of Makkah Mukarramah so people will know that you are the one who brought, who because of your upbringing, he was you brought such type of person into the ummah. She said, Hajjaj, remember one thing. If you want to do that, go ahead and do it. But you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes, He would take that zulm that you have done to my son. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not tolerate you raising your hand over a woman of this ummah that was raised in the house of a Siddiq. Try to do it, O Hajjaj, and I challenge you, you do it and see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would do to you. I will love you to do it so that you will become a lesson for the ummah. And Hajjaj got scared right away. But look at the iman. Look at the faith. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us the iman and the taqwa that He blessed the sahabiyat with. And may Allah give all of us tawfiq to learn our deen and iman and taqwa and tawakkul from these sahabiyat. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make all of us of those with whom Allah is pleased and they are pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات.